This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, you still got some connections in Alabama. I think we talked to you a little bit about this last week, but they add Bueller, the kid from Notre Dame. I'm forgetting how to say his name. What do you think is going on in Tuscaloosa right now with that football team and their quarterback situation heading into this fall?
Good morning, everybody. They're stacking them up just like they did when they had Tua and Hurts and Mac Jones all on the same campus. And I heard your conversation. You know, Stabler was there in the early – Joe Namath was there in the early 60s. And I cannot remember if he was on a 61 team, I think, that won it. But anyway, yeah, their run of quarterbacks, and, you know, just since go back to Greg – who was there in 2010, has been pretty strong. Greg McElroy. He was on campus right when I was leaving, and they've brought in. I mean, you know, and there were guys like Coker and Sims and those guys who were just, you know, more game manager type quarterbacks. But then they started blossoming into the dual threats, and ever since they did that, it's just been a succession of really strong quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've been really good. Bryce Young, again, what he was able to do, even though they didn't win a national championship, was pretty special in his time in Tuscaloosa. Tom, let's talk about Arkansas baseball. So Dylan Carter, UCL, out for the season. There are questions about what this pitching staff is going to look like. I tend to think that we're going to see Hagen Smith on the bump tomorrow night. You think he gets the start based on what Dave said after the game Tuesday night?
You know, he very well might. There's some shin splint issues going on with Hunter Hollan where it's a little painful for him to land. You know, I think it might have affected his delivery. And then, you know, if it gets in your head a little bit, every time I do this, I have to wince a little bit. So the more rest he can get, the better. So it may very well be that they just go ahead and go to their big gun, Hagen, and then hope they can piece it together with maybe a couple of innings from Tigert the following day or Sunday. And then you hope Will McIntyre gives you the same quality innings. What they have to do is they have to get outs from some guys who did not give them any outs on Tuesday, which were, I think, Bybee and Fouch on that particular day. You have got to be able to get some innings out of Christian Fouch and Ben Bybee before, you know, postseason hits. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of arms, and certainly in a super regional, or excuse me, a regional setting when you have to go to a fourth starter, most likely.
Yeah. And you know, when you look at the road record, we were talking about this earlier. You've got 7 road losses this year. It's kind of one of the holes in the resume, or maybe the only hole in their resume for top 8 right now that, you know, would maybe put them out. 5 of those 7 losses are to Georgia and LSU combined. Now, this is a weekend you can get a little healthier in that regard, but how big a factor do you think the committee, and in your mind, how big a factor is Arkansas's road woes this year in the SEC?
It's certainly a component of the RPI and how they slot these teams. And, you know, we were talking Tuesday about their RPI and, the 9 conference games remaining and so on, kind of conceding that they would win on Tuesday, and they didn't do that.
No.
Yep. So, I mean, to me, the South Carolina-Arkansas winner, I mean, if Arkansas can win that one at home, they're in much better shape. If they lose that one at home, the odds maybe start going against them, because Vandy, to me, looks like a really tough series given what Arkansas' pitching staff is going through right now. And so you really need to win the Mississippi State series coming up. You just win 2 out of 3, and if you can get the first couple, you know, go for the sweep. But I'm not going to say they're running on fumes, because they're doing okay. But it's just amazing to me. I mean, simply amazing that with all the players they have out, with all the position players, with all the changes and iterations they've had to go through, and, you know, Kendall Diggs was doing great down in the 5-hole and 6-hole, but at leadoff, he's in a little bit of a slump. So they need Josenberger back to get and Wagner to get their lineup back together, because I think if they can do that, at least, you know, you have a better chance at outscoring people if you need to.
Now, the RPI is not the end-all, be-all, but it's the number one metric in baseball. And as of this morning, 6 of the top 8, including the Razorbacks, in the RPI are SEC teams. Tom, I would contend possibly winning the SEC tournament could be more difficult than Omaha if everybody went all out. But it's going to be a show in Hoover, that's for sure.
It's going to be a show, and it's hard to envision them giving 6 national, top 8 seeds to SEC teams. And some of that's going to sort out. I mean, these teams are going to be playing each other, some of them. So, the SEC tournament is going to be some kind of a blast. I would say if the Razorbacks go 5-4 or 4-5 in these last conference games and win a game in the SEC tournament, they've made themselves a strong argument to host. If they go 6-3 and win a game in the SEC tournament, I don't know how they can be denied it, really.
I think a lot of Arkansas fans feel the same way you do. We're talking with Tom Murphy this morning, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Whole Hog Sports. That's the baseball side of things. Tom, softball-wise, there's a little more up in the air if they're going to get both a regional and a super regional. They beat Tennessee this past weekend. How much have you seen softball grow the last few years under Courtney Deifel based on the way their teams have had success?
Well, she inherited a team that was at the bottom of the standings. And, I think they were like a 1 for maybe the year before Courtney Deifel took over. So her recruiting's been top-notch. Player development has been strong. They have that combination you're looking for. They got people who can get on base. They've got power hitters that can hit you the 3-run home runs. And, the value of pitching has always been super strong in softball. But one thing I've noticed in recent years is the pitching staffs have broadened out more. Like, you have more starters. A decade ago or 2 decades ago, you'd have one prime starter, and they would start most of your games. Now you've got 2, 3, sometimes even 4 starters. And but anyway, getting back to the point, Courtney Deifel she has put Arkansas softball on the map. Obviously, the next step, which they missed out on last year, was making it to the College World Series in Oklahoma City. They had things in their favor with the Game 1 win over Texas and did not get that done. They've had some tough draws. These Pac-12 teams are softball powerhouses, and, they lost to Washington 1 and things like that, or Arizona, I guess. But it seems to me they keep pushing the way they are. They're going to get to the College World Series in Oklahoma City and continue to recruit at the level they are. It looks like they're here to stay.
Yeah. What kind of presence do you? And I don't have a great feel for this. I'm not sure how much you would either. But the in-state growth of the sport. High school softball is a real thing. We see a lot of youth leagues that play other times of the year. To me, that's one thing you've noticed with baseball is Arkansas baseball has gotten better over the last quarter century. Youth baseball in this state has gotten better. I would think we're going to see something similar with softball over the coming, say, decade in the natural state.
I could not give you, inside knowledge that it's growing, that the quality and caliber of players and programs is on the up, but I would assume it kind of works hand in hand, much like the baseball did, that it does. It's natural, like more girls are paying attention. Man, the Razorbacks are really good. I want to improve. I want to go to camp. I want to play summer ball, and I would assume that there's a lot more percentage of young ladies who have that ambition and are pursuing it.
Yeah, I want to be like her. I think you'll get more of that as we go along. I think volleyball in our state, I think volleyball at the high school level has been good in our state. It just hadn't transferred to the college level. Hopefully that program will improve. But I think all of these, like you said, go hand in hand. When it's good at the university level, I think there's growth in the youth level.
Yep, absolutely. It just makes common sense too that, and it's being on TV more. Let's face it. There's an explosion of women's sports, and you see ESPN advertises it more, and there's just more opportunity, and that's good for everyone.
Yeah, because there was 210,000 that watched that final game with Tennessee. That's more than any college baseball game that was on over the weekend. So I think that's we're having a longer conversation about softball because I think the metrics show more people are interested.
Well, and that's wonderful, and they pumped themselves up a little bit with that drama at the end of the championship game. So that's probably going to linger in the next season, I would say.
Tom, last thing for me, they announced the One Razorback Roadshow earlier this week. What do you think the number one question is that Hunter Yurchek's getting from different fans as they make their trek across Arkansas in a few weeks?
What are the hot topics in Arkansas athletics anymore these days?
Budweiser Arena, maybe? Renovations?
Yeah. Don't they have? Are there not architectural plans moving forward on that? I mean, they built it with the tunnel, so to speak, unable to
too narrow, right?
Too narrow to put the trucks down to bring in stuff to have music shows apparently, and so to do that and maybe add another upgrade to the suites and what have you is probably a part of the game plan.
Yeah, so ought to be interesting stuff as they tour the state and meet with the fans. Tom, have a good Thursday, and we look forward to maybe a big weekend with baseball and the softball team on the road at Missouri. We'll talk to you on Tuesday next week.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.